Hello, and welcome back to Daily Dollars. Today, we're covering a landmark decision from the United States Supreme Court, a ruling that could dramatically alter how your personal Social Security data is accessed and used by the federal government. This isn't just a legal development, it's a turning point in the ongoing debate over privacy, oversight, and the power of federal agencies. In a highly controversial move, the court has granted unprecedented access to powerful Trump-era task force known as the Department of Government Efficiency. With this decision, DOGE now has the legal authority to access vast amounts of sensitive information housed within the Social Security Administration, data that includes earnings history, employment records, and even certain medical details. For millions of Americans, this raises serious questions. How secure is your personal information? Who's watching over the watchdogs? Whether you're a Social Security recipient, a working American paying into the system, or simply someone who values data privacy and transparent governance, this story deserves your full attention. In today's episode, we'll break down the Supreme Court's decision and explore what it all means for your rights, your privacy, and the future of Social Security. Before we dive in, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Daily Dollars so you stay updated. All right, let's get started. The Department of Government Efficiency is a special task force charged with auditing and reforming federal agencies to root out inefficiency, waste, and fraud. Unlike traditional government departments, DOGE exists in a somewhat ambiguous legal space. It is not officially designated as a federal agency, which has made its authority and operations the subject of intense debate and controversy. The DOGE stated mission is to identify redundancies and enhance the efficiency of programs like Social Security, Medicare, and others. However, its methods, staffing, and transparency have raised numerous concerns. Notably, DOGE gained early support from prominent business figures during its inception, including Elon Musk, who publicly criticized Social Security and advocated for reform. Although Musk later distanced himself from the Trump administration, his endorsement helped give DOGE momentum. Yet many legal experts and advocacy groups have questioned whether the broad powers and lack of clear oversight on DOGE undermine privacy rights and administrative law principles. The first major ruling by the Supreme Court came in early June 2025, overturning a previous decision by a federal district court in Maryland. The lower court had imposed strict limits to the access of DOGE to Social Security records, allowing only anonymized data and requiring background checks on task force members to protect sensitive information. Judge Ellen Hollander emphasized the importance of safeguarding beneficiary privacy and the need for transparent oversight on the DOGE activities. However, the Supreme Court, in a 6-3 ideological split, issued an unsigned opinion granting DOGE full access to the detailed databases of SSA. The ruling authorized DOGE to view individual earnings records, benefit histories, medical evaluations related to disability claims, and even banking information tied to direct deposit payments. The majority opinion stressed that this access was necessary for DOGE to fulfill its statutory mandate of improving government efficiency and combating fraud. The decision of the court was framed as an emergency ruling in response to a federal government appeal, prioritizing administrative expediency over prolonged litigation. The three dissenting justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, voiced serious objections. Justice Jackson's dissent highlighted the danger of allowing an agency with limited oversight to wield such sweeping powers without the usual checks and balances. She warned that this ruling sets a troubling precedent by prioritizing speed over due process and ignoring the significant privacy risks posed to millions of Americans. Justice Jackson wrote, "The government's insistence on immediate access to SSA data, circumventing the normal judicial process, threatens the constitutional rights of countless individuals who entrust the federal government with their most personal information." The dissent underscored the necessity of judicial oversight and transparency to protect citizens from potential misuse or unauthorized disclosure of their private data. To fully grasp the gravity of this ruling, it's important to understand the nature of the data DOGE will now have access to. The SSA maintains comprehensive personal records that encompass your Social Security number, your full earnings history, detailed records of benefits claimed, disability determinations, and sometimes even your banking details for benefit disbursements. This information is among the most sensitive data held by the government. It is critical not only for managing benefits, but also for identity verification across multiple federal and state agencies. Any breach or misuse of this data could lead to identity theft, fraud, or disruptions in benefits. The Supreme Court ruling effectively removes many of the privacy protections that previously limited access to these records, sparking concerns among privacy advocates, civil rights organizations, and many Americans who rely on Social Security. On the same day as the ruling on data access, the Supreme Court issued another significant decision that further affects public oversight of DOGE. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington CREW, a watchdog organization, had sued to compel DOGE to release internal emails and documents under the Freedom of Information Act. CREW argued that the actions of DOGE directly affect federal employees and the public. It should be subject to the same transparency requirements as other government agencies. The Trump administration, however, maintained that DOGE is merely an advisory group, not a federal agency, and thus exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. The Supreme Court declined to force DOGE to release those records, instead issuing a stay that allows DOGE to maintain its secrecy while it continues its operations. This decision means that the public currently has no clear insight into how DOGE handles or protects the sensitive information it can now access, nor into the specific actions it takes with that data. The Supreme Court's twin rulings have provoked a stark divide in public opinion and among experts. Supporters argue that the access of DOGE to SSA data will help root out fraud and inefficiency, potentially saving taxpayers billions and improving the government's ability to manage large-scale benefit programs. Opponents, including labor unions such as the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees and the Alliance for Retired Americans, have condemned the rulings as violations of privacy rights and administrative law. They have filed multiple lawsuits demanding that DOGE officials be held accountable and that the department's procedures and communications be subject to public scrutiny. For beneficiaries, retirees, and workers paying into Social Security, the ruling raises serious questions about the security of their data. The prospect of a semi-autonomous task force accessing detailed personal information without clear oversight or transparency has understandably caused widespread concern. If you receive Social Security benefits, are disabled, or are currently working and paying into the system, this ruling affects your data privacy directly. Newly granted access of DOGE means that your Social Security earnings history, disability files, and even banking details could be reviewed without your consent. While proponents say this will improve government efficiency, it also opens the door to risks such as potential data breaches or misuse. Additionally, the lack of transparency about how DOGE operates makes it difficult to hold the task force accountable if abuses occur. Moving forward, these rulings could reshape the relationship between federal agencies and the public, highlighting the urgent need for stronger data protections and oversight mechanisms in an increasingly digital government. The story is far from over. Multiple lawsuits are progressing in federal courts, and Congress is beginning to scrutinize the authority of DOGE. Some members from both parties have called for legislative reforms to clarify the status of DOGE, limit its access to sensitive data, and require greater transparency. At Daily Dollars, we will continue to monitor these developments closely. If you found this detailed analysis helpful, please like this video and share it with others who depend on Social Security. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay informed about all the latest updates on your benefits. Thank you for watching Daily Dollars. I will see you in the next video.